was gonna do it. Tonight was gonna be the night. Oh, I'm so tired of being lonely. But now I have something to live for, and that's my grandparents. Where are they? Oh, I feel bad. Me too.
Share via email. Report story. By 7 Rennie. Summary. Her mind had been a jumbled mess since the announcement. A dance at UA, she didn't know anything about dancing. She didn't even own a dress. When Ochako decided to take the offered dance classes, she hadn't thought things through when picking a dance partner. Deku, let's pair up. In Izuocha, where Ochako and Izuku learn to dance, and Izuku teaches her how to catch stars. Equals 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 dot. Ochako was never one for formal events. She had other things in mind, and no time to deal with such activities. All of her comrades were training and working their limbs off. She had to do the same. She had to keep up, get stronger. While most girls her age were out shopping and dating and going to the movies and partying, she was on her knees, heaving her guts out because her body just couldn't get used to going past the weight limit. Floating boulders heavier than what she usually worked with took her strength away. She briefly heard her teacher telling her, "You've had enough for today," before someone came to help her. Uraraka. Izuku rubbed her back gently. While his presence was comforting, she shouldn't be distracting him from his own training. She wanted to assure him she was okay, but couldn't as she keeled over again to dry heave. He grabbed her shoulder so she wouldn't fall into her own mess. "Is it okay if I take her back?" Izuku asked the teacher. After getting permission, he helped her to her feet and hung her arm over and around his neck to keep her supported. The walk back was a slow one, with her leaning onto him. She felt the heat of his body rub against her through her skin-tight suit. His hair was slightly drooping down because of the sweat. "You worked really hard today, Uraraka." He tried to cheer her up. He knew she was upset for not lasting longer than she had wanted. "You gave it your all. You were amazing." "Thanks, Deku," she whispered tiredly. Her stomach was still sore and her whole body felt heavy and ready to collapse. "Do you need me to carry you?" "No, it's okay. I can make it." He got her to the changing rooms but was forced to wait outside for her as she entered the women's section. Exhausted, she plopped down on a bench and bent over to remove her marshmallow boots. Her mind had been a jumbled mess since the announcement. It had been Izawa who first brought it up. Then an email from the school was sent to everyone, informing them what to expect. A dance at UA. It was a hero academy, so why hold such a party? She knew it had something to do with an opening anniversary, but the news was so sudden and the topic was so unfamiliar to her. She didn't know anything about dancing. She didn't even own a dress. She sighed and peeled off her costume. Why was she making a big deal out of this? The school had sent them a list of available dance teachers, and the date of the event wasn't close, so she had time to prepare. She opened her locker and saw herself in the mirror. Without the costume, dressed in only a bra and panties, she looked nothing like a hero in training. She might as well be with a group of girlfriends hanging out and flirting over cute boys and going to parties. She wanted to be a hero, needed to be a hero. She couldn't waste time with parties. But she had a party coming up, and she was baffled her own school was arranging it. She wasn't prepared for this. It was just too sudden. She stepped out and saw that Izuku had managed to quickly change out of his costume as well. He smiled brightly at her and offered to walk her to the dorms. He was a helpful guy, of course he'd go out of his way to make sure she was okay. Her knees burned and the curve of her back ached. Her stomach cramps bit down into her midsection and she was ready to sink to the ground from it. Promoted stories. You'll also like The Kings and Queen Yandere Wakfu X Reader 57.4K 1.8 Kyonder. Wakfu X Reader. Images do not belong to me unless stated. Wakfu does not belong to me, it belongs to Enigma. This is being rewritten in another book on my profile. Much needed loved Yandere Succubus Momo X Izu. 51.5K809 after Wattpad had decided to delete this story out of nowhere. I and many reader were distraught. So I'm making a remake of the story from the ground up to compensate. Mirko X Shy Male Reader 171K 1.1 Key. Don't own MHA. I hope you enjoy the story I made. Not all heroes wear capes. Some just have 8.42.8K 1.4 kilo. Everybody. This is a suicidal, depressed Deku book with Dadmik. Will their bond grow? Will Mike fuck up? Will Izuku try to kill himself? Find out yourself. Number 1 Radio. Izuku's Harem Academia 188K 1.7 Qst. Read. Return of Mokuten discontinued 3.5K 45. This story is officially up for adoption. If anyone is interested, message me or comment on the story. Are you sure you don't want me to carry you? He asked in concern. I can make it, really, she insisted, but her legs gave out right then and she almost dropped to the ground. Strong hands caught her below her armpits and held her up. Hey, are you alright? He asked her, worry reflecting in his eyes. She grabbed his shoulders to heave herself up again. Sorry, sorry, she tried to laugh it off, but it came out way too fake. Let me carry you, come on. Really, I'm okay. You're tired. You pushed yourself really far today. He walked in front of her and kneeled a little. Come on, he urged her gently. She sighed and accepted his help. Thanks, Deku. Sorry I'm making you do this. She climbed onto his back and wrapped her arms around his neck, feeling a blush heating her face. She felt him hold on to the underside of her legs to secure her. You can put me down if you're tired. I'm fine, He assured her kindly and started walking with her on his back. Let's just get you back so you can rest. You were really amazing. He kept praising her. He was a nice guy, gold-hearted and kind. But he was also a boy, a young man, and that fact made the blush on her cheeks brighter than ever. He was a cute boy and she couldn't ignore that. His male scent drove her crazy. Her nose was touching his neck. He smelled so good and this was bad. Very bad. Her friend wasn't supposed to smell sexually attractive. It was confusing, mind-numbing. She sighed, which worsened the situation because she ended up breathing more of him. She almost missed what he said. I can't believe the party is in a few weeks. He sighed, I don't think my heart's ready for this. So she hadn't been the only one thinking about it. Yeah, it surprised me, too. I never packed a suit. And I still need to decide on a dance teacher, he complained, bowing his head in misery. I'm so lost. I have no idea what I'm doing. She giggled lightly at that. You and I both, then. Are you going to pick a teacher, too? Yeah, I still haven't decided yet, she admitted, resting her cheek on his shoulder. I'll ask the girls if they could help me find a dress. I'm sure they won't mind. The rest of the walk was quiet. Once they made it, he stopped in front of her bedroom door. A girl's bedroom, this was a boundary he would not cross. She slid off his back carefully. Thanks, Deku, she said in appreciation. It's fine. Get some rest, okay? I will. Thanks. With that, she closed the door and threw herself onto her bed. It thumped against the wall. Her nausea had subsided a bit, but her body still felt drained and her headache was still jolting her head. She sort of missed the warmth of his back. It had been so comforting. She never felt alone with him around. He always had that calming presences. She was kind of glad he was also nervous about the event. It put them both on the same boat. She could still somewhat smell him. He wasn't here, and she wasn't sure if his musk was still present on her clothes or if her mind was trying to remember the smell, but it helped ease her nerves. She closed her eyes for a nap. When asking for where in the world could she find an affordable dress, her answer had arrived before she even had to look. Best Jeanist offered a few designs, and assured them they would be ready and set before the event. They were simple, but colorful. She'd chosen a reddish-pink dress that resembled an upside-down rose with a bow at the back. Nothing extravagant, and it reached just below her knees, so the length wouldn't hinder her movements. They were helped with the clothes, but as for accessories, they were on their own. She settled with whatever she had. However, the girls thought she seemed underdressed. Momo decided to make a few things for her, and Mina offered her one of her beaded necklaces. Even after she refused their presents, they demanded she'd have them. Mina declared, "No girl gets left behind," and they all agreed. Uabami, who had volunteered as a dance teacher, was incredibly nice and gentle when it came to instructions. She clapped her hands to get everyone's attention. "All right, now just find a partner you're comfortable with, or I'll pair you up with someone. Don't be shy, this is just basic practice, and we won't be doing anything difficult, so take your time." Ochako learned to ignore the three snakes on the woman's head. That wasn't surprising. What did astonish her was finding some of her classmates in the same dance group. It wasn't a large group, and most of the classes had scattered, but she managed to recognize Todoroki, Yaoyorozu, Jiro, Kaminari, and Deku. He turned his head in surprise. His confusion was replaced with a wide-mouthed smile when he saw her. "Uraraka, you're here, too." She nodded happily. "I'm so happy you're here. Everything's always better with friends." "I'm so glad," he said in relief. "I thought I was going to be by myself." That confused her at first. He had either not noticed his other classmates, or he meant he did not have a partner, which reminded her. "Deku, let's pair up," she said boldly, her hands tightening into encouraging fists. Oh, how that move changed everything. A blush line appeared across Izuku's face and he stuttered, oh, okay, yeah, sure." She hadn't thought this through when deciding on a partner. Then the hamster in her brain found the wheel again and she remembered what they were about to do. Dance partner, with Deku. Her excitement turned into a gelatinous mess of worries. Stupid, 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 she should have thought more carefully instead of blurting out what she wanted. Then again, she already knew Deku, and she didn't feel comfortable dancing with anyone else. Maybe it wouldn't be that bad. Alright, now just hold hands with your partner. Scratch that, bad idea, really bad idea. She wanted to take cover under a million blankets and hide until the end of the world. She heard a strangled squeak next to her. Izuku was blushing furiously and she could see him fidgeting. His eyes wandered away, anything to not stare at her. Are you okay, with this? I mean. He tried but couldn't find the right words. She looked down at his hand, the one he'd punched a giant robot with. She nervously twined two of her fingers around his, her other hand fisting her shirt. "It's okay. We can do this." She sounded as uncomfortable as she felt inside. She felt him slide his hand in and gently grasp her fingers in a feather-light hold. If you're okay with this. He was still looking away, overcome by his own shyness. Ochako briefly heard Jiro scolding Kaminari in the back. Your hands are sweaty. I can't help it, this is so weird. Things didn't get any better when it turned out Uabami had requested Midnight to be her assistant for the lesson. Some of the students had trouble focusing as the two women went ahead to demonstrate a simple waltz, both of their bodies close, their breasts touching. It was also awkward to watch because they knew they would need to copy their teachers soon. Alright, now let's just start with a simple hold. Don't worry, you'll be learning in short, small sessions, so take your time. We'll be checking on each of you soon, the snake-haired woman explained. Another. She and Midnight demonstrated how to properly hold one another, moving their fingers in slow motion so that everyone got to see the little details in every movement. When it came to mimicking their teachers, it was an awkward mess. Each student had their own set of problems, with some struggling to look at the other in the eyes and most were holding their partners with stiff shoulders. Ochako and Izuku faced each other, both looking at their hands instead of what was in front of them. Even after the teachers showed them how it was done, they felt so lost, moving their hands in such a robotic manner she was sure they would put Ida's usual hand movements to shame. She heard Izuku swallow loudly as he carefully placed his hand just behind her shoulder. She had to swallow a lump as well when putting her hand over his shoulder. They had to hold hands, actually hold hands. She held her palm out, the pink pads on her fingers showing, and he held it gently. She could feel him shaking through his hand. Or was that her? She couldn't think straight. She couldn't think at all. Midnight stopped right next to them to observe. She then clicked her tongue before placing her hand on Deku's back and giving him a push forward. A little closer, there you go. He yelped. The sudden movement snapped him out of his confusion and he was now looking straight into her eyes. She felt her heart in her throat. This was too much. The lesson kept going, and they eventually started to move around after knowing the steps. She and Izuku kept looking down at their feet the whole time because they wanted to avoid stepping on each other's toes. Staring down, they occasionally touched foreheads. They both threw apologies the first two times it happened, then ignored it as it just kept happening. At some point, Ochako forgot about how nervous she had been. She was starting to have fun, and so was Izuku. When they accidentally stepped the wrong way, they just giggled and laughed it off before starting again. It sort of felt like a game. Turned out dancing needed a lot of brain work as well. She had to remember the steps and get the timing just right. They had no idea if they were doing it correctly, but by the end, they were both smiling. Great work, everyone. Uwabami praised and clapped her hands to congratulate them. You've all done very well. I'll see you all again next time. Ishido plopped down on the sofa and fumbled with the carton of juice in her hands. Gah, so tired, she sighed loudly. It was kind of fun. Hagakuri sat next to her on the sofa, her shoes swinging back and forth in happiness. Wish I could say the same, Jiro said miserably. The idiot kept stepping on my The idiot kept stepping on my foot. At least you're not dancing with Bakugo. I'm kinda surprised Kirishima went along with him, Mina commented, recalling the memory of the two of them trying to dance earlier. I didn't think it was anything special, but I've had lessons before so I already knew the basics, Yaoyorozu said as she finished off her drink. Wait, Ishido turned to her. You knew how to dance and you still took the class. Yes. I still want to be prepared, Yaoyorozu informed. And, it's been a while since I last practiced. I thought it might be best to practice a little more. What about you, Ochako? The invisible girl asked excitedly. I had a lot of fun, she admitted with a smile. Come to think of it, Momo said as she thought about the earlier events. It looked like you were doing very well with Midoriya. Ochako giggled shyly. Honestly, we were just having fun. I kind of forgot what we were supposed to be doing back there. Yaoyorozu, Yaoyorozu smiled lightly. I'm glad you had fun. She grabbed her empty drink and got up. Well, I'm heading back to bed. Mina stretched her arms out. Yeah, I should hit the hay, too.